Hey guys, this is Lucas from Better Coding Academy, and in this video I will show you how to set up a React app using the Parcel bundler. So this is like a good middle ground between create React app and using Webpack, because it does give you some flexibility, but it also doesn't have the ton of configuration options that Webpack needs you to provide out of the box. So what we're going to do now is first create a directory. So let's just go with mkdir React app, or something like that. You can call it whatever you want. Let's go into this directory and I'm going to create my package.json. So in order to do this, you can either type npm init-y, or I'm going to use yarn. So I'm going to write yarn init-y like so. Now this is going to create my package.json file. And now let's open this inside Visual Studio Code. So code and a dot like that, and I've got it open right over here. So now you'll notice I only have a package.json in this directory. Now if you open this up, you'll notice that it has a few default options, but there are no dependencies installed. So what I'm going to do is go back into terminal, and I'm going to add yarn add -- dev, or you can write the shorthand, which is -D, and then I'm going to write parcel bundler like so. I'm going to press enter, and then it's going to install this as a development dependency. I don't need this to be installed as a production dependency, because this is only really used locally for building and for testing the project. So now I've got that installed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into Visual Studio Code over here, and I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to write inside here src/index.html. So now I've got the directory, and I've also got the file inside of there. So now this file, I'm just going to write HTML, and if you show suggestions, it should just come up with the 5 like that, and you can get the whole page in here. I like to just go for something simple, maybe something like this, but obviously you can configure and add options as you so wish. So I've got something like this called React app, and I'm just going to put div id equals app inside of here. So this will be my React root. And if you know anything about React, you'll know that the root React component needs to be rendered somewhere. So we need to have a div in order to render it. So now I'm going to write script src equals /index.js. Now, obviously I haven't created this file yet, so we're going to do that now. So if I right click new file index.js, I've got this file here, and I'm going to write import React from React like so. Import render from React DOM. So some people write import React DOM from React DOM, but we really only use the render method. So I like to do that. And then we can just do render h1 hello world, if I can type properly. And we can just write document.getElementsById. And I called it app, so we're going to write app over here in order to match app over here. So now let's save this file, and let's go back into package.json over here. And I'm going to put a comma after dev dependencies, and I'm going to add a scripts section here. Now it doesn't really matter where you add it, but here's quite nice. I like this, having it below the dependencies like that. And so I'm going to write scripts and then write watch in here. I like to call mine watch. This you can call whatever you want, but just make sure you have this command down pat. So we're going to write parcel src/index.html like so. So now if I save that and I go back into my terminal, if I type yarn watch, or if you're using npm, you can write npm run watch, same thing, yarn watch over here. It will go parcel src index.html, and you'll notice it starts to install dependencies. So the reason it does that is because you saw that we were importing React and React DOM, but I haven't actually installed them, and I haven't actually made them local to the project. So what it's actually done now is it's realized that we need these dependencies, and you'll notice it's added them as dependencies in here, so React and React DOM over here. So now let's have a look inside our browser. I'm going to go to localhost 1234, and you'll notice mine says hello world, as it should on the page. So now I'm going to just show one more thing here, which I tend to use quite a lot when I'm using Parcel. So I'm going to create a very quick component, so I hope that you bear with me for a second here. So what I'm going to do is create a new file here called counter.js. Now normally I like to have a components directory and store them inside of there, but for the sake of simplicity here, I'm just going to use counter.js. So I'm going to write import React component from React. So I'm going to use a class-based component here, because that's something I want to show. So export default class counter extends React. And let's just put in a basic counter. So we have our render method, and we're going to return an h1, and we're going to write click me, and let's just put a number over here. So this.state.count, and then we can just write state equals count, and then we have 0. And then whenever you click on the h1, this dot increment count, and then we have increment count over here. Not count. This dot set state count this.state.count +1. So now I'm going to save that and make my code just a little bit smaller, as you can see. So one problem I noticed over here as I was typing, this one here is meant to be component. That's totally my fault. So that should be like that here. And now inside of index.js, we're just going to write import counter from /counter like so, and we're going to render this as the root element here. So now I've got render counter, I've got counter over here. Let's have a look at our terminal, and you'll notice we have an error. So the error we have is that support for the experimental syntax class properties isn't currently enabled. So what this means is that because this thing here is an experimental syntax. However, it's very common it's very commonly used, and it is coming in as part of the standard. So this is what I actually like to do. So in order to use this, I have to actually configure Babel, which Parcel uses internally in order to compile the JavaScript. All we have to do here is create a .babelrc file here, and inside of .babelrc, this is a JSON file. So now the one we need to actually write here is @babel /plugin proposal class properties. So this one actually gives us support for this type of syntax here, which is currently a proposal in TC39, but that's for another video. So now let's just save this over here. So now we just need to write here yarn watch again, and now you see we're installing it. So now once it does that, and we go into package.json, you'll notice we have @babel /plugin proposal class properties, which is the one we wrote here. So this is something I really like about Parcel, is that it actually automatically installs these dependencies for you. Now this obviously isn't strictly necessary, and you can do this yourself, but it does make life a lot easier when you're kind of building your application very rapidly. So that's definitely one of the benefits of Parcel. So now you'll notice over here, if I go into Chrome, my application is working now, and if I click this, you see that the counter goes up. So I just really wanted to showcase that because I like to use this syntax a lot, and it does make life a lot easier than having to write constructor and then super and then state like that. I just think that the other syntax is a lot shorter, and it makes it a lot more concise, and you don't have to worry about the constructor and super and props and all that kind of stuff. So it just makes life a lot easier. So I tend to use this syntax a lot. So when you are setting up a React app with it, just make sure that you do this process, otherwise you won't be able to use this feature here. So this was just a video showcasing how to set up React with Parcel. This has been Lucas with Better Coding Academy, and see you guys later.